think we're good. Welcome back to my channel. It's good to have you here. I don't normally make longer chatty type videos like this. However, I think it's important because today we're talking about my OURA ring. I've been wanting to make this video for a while now because I've had my OURA ring for about 3 years and I have some thoughts on it, and I've been getting a lot of questions. Honestly, just in real life when I'm wearing it, people ask my opinion on it, so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna make a video for YouTube so I can just share it and get all my views out there. And I'm the type of person who needs to actually write down what I'm going to say before I say it. I really just wanted to make sure that I captured everything I needed to in this video. And I also have a cup of tea in this cute little fish mug that my mom got me years ago. So make yourself some tea or coffee and come hang out while we talk about smart devices. Who am I reviewing tech? I don't know. Anyways, our first order of business. What is an OURA ring? This is a wearable, smart, biometric tracking device. You can wear it on any finger, really. I think they recommend your second finger or your third, your middle finger. I usually will wear it on my right middle finger. I just don't want it to get in the way of doing other things because, see if it'll zoom, it's a little bit bulkier of a ring. You really get used to it though, it's not that bad. But I don't wear a lot of big jewelry because I'm playing piano or doing things, knitting, I don't know. Anyways, I have had my OURA ring for about 3 years now. I first got it because my cousin had it and I was so interested in this type of technology because I've only ever had a smartwatch before. And to be honest, I kind of just got to the point with an Apple Watch where I don't want technology strapped to me at all times. I don't want to be getting notifications. I don't want to be seeing what news is happening. I don't want to be getting texts. I just want to live my life primarily screen free. So that's why I really liked the appeal of the OURA ring. Oh man, I'm only a few minutes in and I'm already... It's so hard to talk to the camera for an extended amount of time. So whenever you see a YouTuber doing this, they have skills that I don't quite have yet, but we're getting there. One of the main reasons I did want it was because it doesn't have a screen, and that really appealed to me. I liked how it comprehensively tracked your sleep, I guess your readiness, heart rate, your menstrual cycle, all these different things, and your stress levels too. And I liked how it would paint a picture of your overall health. So I thought that was very appealing. I thought it was also cool because you can compare data with friends who also have an OURA ring. So my husband has an OURA ring and a couple of my other friends do. So we would share our data. You can see each other's readiness, sleep, and activity scores, but you can't actually deep dive and see what they're actually doing. So that's a big difference, is you can just see very high level of what's going on. But that was fine. We never did it. We never really used that feature for doing competitions or tracking or motivating each other. We mostly just used it if someone got a really good or really bad sleep score, we would text them and be like, oh my gosh, look at this score you got. Or so we never really used the feature, I think, for how it was designed to be used. I briefly touched on this, but I really liked how it tracked your period. So it uses your basal body temperature, or BBT. So when you wake up every morning, it takes your temperature using the sensors on the ring, and there are these little green flashing lights, and that's when taking your data. That sounds weird, how it's measuring your data. And it would take that, and then based off of your BBT, it would tell you where you're at in your cycle. So basically, once I wore this very consistently, it would know pretty much to the day, plus or minus a day, when my period would come. And it made it a lot easier to track, which was excellent. However, and that was really good because whenever I'm planning a trip or an event or a community walk that day, I want to be able to know when my period's coming so I can plan around it. I'm the type of person who doesn't want to do anything on their period and just sit on the couch and take the day off. And it was really good in that regard. However, things did change for that. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the video. So we've covered what it is, how long I've had this for, why I've wanted it. So let's talk about what I loved about it. And then after we'll get to what I didn't love about it. So I think the step counter on the OURA ring is fairly accurate. I've tested this a few times. My husband would wear his Apple Watch, I'd wear my OURA ring, we'd go for a walk and then compare data, and I would say it was pretty accurate. The sleep tracking was also, I would say, pretty accurate. You can tell when you were in REM sleep, and then, I don't know, if you wake up in the morning and you can tell, oh, I just woke up from a really good dream, or I woke up from, I don't know, I didn't sleep well. It reflects on your sleep score, for sure. The only thing I would say about sleep score, we're going to touch on this in the next category of things I didn't love about it, is I rarely got above an 80 or 85 sleep score. I was always in the 70s, but yet I wake up feeling so energized and so refreshed that I didn't feel like it was accurately representing how I was feeling. So, but would I say how it measured my sleep was accurate? Yeah, I would say so. Again, I knew when my period was coming. I really liked that. That was very helpful. Oh, I like the look of it. I think it looks nice. It's just a simple, clean ring. No screen, no noise. It's waterproof. So if I'm swimming, I would take it with me. However, I'm always a little bit worried it would just slip off because I would say this is a perfect fit. This is a size 8, by the way. So, I don't know. I have weird alien hands, but size 8 fits fine on me. And it's waterproof, but I think most smart trackers or biometric smart technology is waterproof these days, so I don't know if that's a big concern or not. Oh, the app also has some resources in it too. So if you scroll through, it'll have ways to sleep better, ways to prepare yourself for bed better, cutting out alcohol, cutting out caffeine, things like that. So there's different resources there too. So let's talk about things I didn't love about the OURA ring. And unfortunately, I think there are more things I didn't love than I do love. So to touch again on that readiness score, so basically a readiness score combines a lot of different factors. It combines your sleep data, your activity data, and your stress levels, and ultimately puts them to a readiness score. I didn't like this because let's say I woke up one day feeling ready to tackle a day. I thought I slept really well. I was just feeling good. I was feeling myself. But yet I'd get my readiness score back and it would say I'm at a 60, which is not good. Anything I would say in 60 range, 60 and below, even 70 and below is not ideal. And OURA ring will give you a crown for anything above an 85. So that's just how you can think about how they measure things. So if I would get a bad readiness score for the day, my mood would just tank and I'd be like, I'm obviously not ready for the day. My ring's telling me I'm not ready. I can't tackle the things I want to do. So I think I definitely let the readiness score impact how I actually felt. And that, I would say, is the tip of the iceberg, or that was the moment when things started going pretty downhill pretty quickly. We'll touch on that. Let's see. Also, I would find with the ability to see your friends' scores too, I would start comparing my scores to their score and be like, well, this person was sick last week, yet my activity score is lower than theirs. I'm not doing something right. And I would just be comparing my data with theirs, and I don't know what's going on in their life. Yet I would be comparing myself and letting that stress me out. And then my stress levels, because the app can read your heart rate and it can tell you when you're feeling stressed. And according to the app, I was just constantly in a state of stress. Which, do I always feel super stressed? Not really. I think I just maybe live with it at this point. I don't honestly know. So that didn't help with my already rising stress levels. I don't like the charger situation. I'll show you that now. Basically, the ring size you get is paired with a specific charging port, which has a USB-C connector to it. So this is for a size 8 OURA ring. If someone else in your family or your friends has a different size, they're going to have a different size charging port. And this is annoying because one time I lost my charger and I had to buy an entirely new one when my husband had a charger too. So if they just made this some sort of, I don't quite understand the technology, but a MagSafe where you just put your ring on the little pad and then it charges it, I think that would be ideal because you wouldn't have to buy an entire new $25, $30, maybe it was more than that actually, a brand new charging port. So I think that is one of my biggest notes. I can show you the app too, but for the 3 years I've had my OURA ring, I've never fully understand how to work the app, and they keep changing it to where I don't even understand it more. But this is the basic. Also, I haven't worn this in a while, so this data is not going to be reflected at all. But this is the main screen. You can see readiness score here, and I don't have one because I haven't worn it. But basically, this is another place you can get the same information as this place, but it's slightly different. So that always kind of confused me a little bit. And then there's some other places where you can see other scores that, I don't know, I never fully understood the app, which is crazy because I do content creation and I'm having to constantly adapt to changing applications all the time, and I can never figure out the OURA ring app, which is fine, whatever. Kind of embarrassing, but fine. My next point on here is that I would say having so much health data available definitely did cause me a bit of health anxiety. To be completely honest, I was just constantly stressed about my health and how I was, I guess, performing day to day. But then about a year ago, OURA came out with a new feature called cardiovascular age, and it would basically tell you how healthy your heart is. Actually, that's another reason I got the OURA ring, is because my mom has a history of, I think, just like heart palpitations. I don't know if it's heart palpitations or arrhythmia, but I have like a little hint of that too. So I'll be just feeling my heart and then it'll skip a beat and then add another beat. So my heart does weird things sometimes, but it's not dangerous or anything. I was hoping the OURA ring could catch that. So that was another reason I wanted OURA ring. And it ultimately did not catch that. It said I was totally normal and totally fine, which is not true because I have had moments that were genuinely a little bit scary and I thought I was having a heart attack and I wasn't, so it was fine. But they released this feature with cardiovascular age, and some days it would tell me my age was -4 years, so I was actually 4 years younger cardiovascularly wise. And then the next day it would change and say -1 year, so it would change daily. So I don't know if they improved that feature or not, but some days I'd be like, I'm so fit, I'm so strong, whatever, and then the next day I'd be like, okay, maybe I'm actually just 27 is the age my heart is and how it's acting. Tea break. So I guess my final point with things I didn't like about it is just how much data there is, and I think that's ultimately a personal preference to you. Do you need to have all of this data about your health available all the time? And that's a question for reflection that I unfortunately cannot answer. For me though, it was too much data. It got to the point, it was too much. I didn't need all of it. I was so stressed on getting good sleep scores and readiness scores and activity scores that it just took the joy out of doing those things. I wasn't enjoying my nighttime routine anymore because I was so fixated on I need to be in bed at 9 p.m. so I can go and get a good sleep score. And then the next night I'd hang out with friends and we'd stay out late. And I would just kick myself and be like, why did I do that? I'm not gonna get a good sleep score anymore. So things like that. If you're like me and things like that affect you, then maybe don't get the OURA ring. So the next part of this video, if pregnancy or miscarriage is triggering for you or is a sensitive topic for you right now, please skip this part. When I'm editing this, I'll put right here the time you should skip forward to for final remarks and how I'm using it today, how I'm using the OURA ring today. So just skip this section. You don't need to hear it unless you really want to, because actually this is good information. And if you keep seeing me looking down, I'm looking at my little paper here. So let's chat. Basically, I was only using the period tracking function to see when my periods were coming because I historically have pretty painful periods. Before people start medically diagnosing me, I've been through years of testing, years of trials. They can't figure it out. They literally just told me to take so many ibuprofen to manage the pain. So let's leave that aside. Is it endometriosis? Who knows? I don't know. They don't know. No one has an answer for me. Was this a planned pregnancy? Yes. Did I find out on the app I was pregnant? It didn't tell me. Basically my basal body temperature never skyrocketed. A lot of basal body temperatures would, I guess. So if you go on Google right now and you type in early pregnancy BBT, it'll show you this chart of a pretty even BBT level, and then it skyrockets once you conceive. And that's when you're pregnant, basically. So that never really happened to me. However, I was very pregnant. I had 7 pregnancy tests that said yes. So OURA ring, I would say, didn't pick up my pregnancy like it does in other cases. However, I've been on so many Reddit pages and a lot of people have said with an OURA ring that it also wasn't tracking their BBT, or they were basically saying that their BBT wasn't skyrocketing like a lot of the charts do. So I guess if you're trying to get pregnant with an OURA ring, take it with a grain of salt, your BBT level, because it might not look the same as the next person's, and don't let that freak you out. Let's see. The only sign on my OURA ring app that indicated I was pregnant was having a raised, what was it? HRV, heart rate variation. And I honestly cannot tell you what that is. I think just the variation of your heart rate, I guess. However, that was raised, so that's when I was like, maybe this is something abnormal than how I usually am, so this could mean maybe something else. So sure enough, took tests, I was positive. And so I would say the basal body temperature was not really an indicator, HRV more so was. But because my basal body temperature didn't follow the traditional chart, that stressed me out. And being able to see all of the information on pregnancy within the app was so stressful. I was so fixated on every single little detail. It was so stressful. I've already said that 3 times, and there's no other way to put it. I definitely did not need that much data in the first couple of weeks. And to be honest, looking back at this experience, I do think that I wasn't able to fully enjoy the pregnancy because I was so fixated on the data. And ultimately, it didn't even really matter because it didn't really work out. And also, this was 2 months ago, so I'm still processing all of this and still grieving and still healing. But I did make a post on Instagram about this, and I was flooded with people saying how they've also had this experience too. So maybe you're going through this now, or someone who is going through this, or maybe someone close to you is going through this and they just haven't shared anything. So this is for everyone out there who needs to see that this is 2 months post having a miscarriage. Am I surviving? Yes. Is it hard? Yes. However, I think talking about it makes it a little bit more real and a bit more human. But on that topic, I was definitely letting the numbers and the data dictate how I felt. If my readiness score was low, I would just say, oh my gosh, I need to stay in bed all day today. I can't enjoy my life. I can't do anything. I'm going to risk the pregnancy. And I wasn't able to listen to my body at all. My body was sending me so many signs of just overwhelm and exhaustion and just telling me to rest and get off of the screen. And I just couldn't do it because I was so fixated on making sure that everything was going to be perfect. Also, you can enter in a certain mode for OURA Ring where you can enter in, basically say that you're pregnant, and it'll help you track your pregnancy, and it'll show you, I guess, ranges of what a typical pregnancy would look like. And for me, everything was falling in those typical ranges. I had no symptoms that a miscarriage would even happen, except for the HCG levels not rising how they should. Different topic. However, having to see that data in the app, I think also stressed me out. And then ultimately, when the miscarriage did happen, I was still using my ring and I had to press the end pregnancy button, which sucked. And miscarriages are so common and no one talks about them the way they should be talked about. Obviously, that's so subjective. But the fact that this is such a common thing that happens, and yet people feel so alone going through this. So having to press a button and say, this didn't work out, let's just end this feature right here, sucked. Would not recommend to anyone. So I think if everything works out in your pregnancy, I think I would still be stressed using the app to track it because, again, you're putting data over how you're actually feeling, which is crazy. But towards the end of the pregnancy, I literally took my ring off, put it on the nightstand, and I'm like, I can't do this. I need to just be who I am, just vibe. So that's my topic on that. OURA Ring did not help at all. So that's my note there. We take a deep breath and out. Heavy topic, but that's okay. Someone's got to talk about it because it's important to bring these things to light. I just got a warning from my camera that my storage card might be almost full, so I'm gonna wrap this up here. Basically, yes, I broke up with my OURA Ring and I'm using it now, I would say on friends with benefits terms. What does that mean? I'm not sleeping with this on anymore. I'm not using it for readiness tracking. I'm not using it for stress tracking or cycle tracking. All I'm using this for is basically a pedometer. Could I just buy like a basic pedometer instead of an OURA Ring? Yes, probably. However, I have it, and if I ever decide in the future that I want to use its full features again, then I have it, you know, it's fine. That being said though, if you have an Apple Watch or some sort of like smart device that you wear on your wrist and having it strapped to you doesn't bother you at all, then I would say use it. I think there is a time and a place for smart watches. I think especially if you are out walking, out hiking, and you want to be able to quickly dial like emergency services or call someone, you have it right there. You're able to do it. And it's fine. I can't call emergency with my OURA Ring. Overall takes. I have it. I'll use it for step tracking because that's important to me. but I likely will not be using it for tracking other health variables anymore, because at the end of the day, I don't really care. Like, it's so freeing to wake up not having to be like, what was my sleep score the last night? Like, what was my husband's sleep score? What is my readiness score? Like, am I ready for the day? What's my activity score? Like, do I have to hit 9,000 steps today or 11,000 steps today based off of my sleep and readiness score? So, like, that mania doesn't exist anymore. I can just wake up and just have a peaceful morning. I can go to bed and, like, do my nighttime routine and just be happy and not have to worry about my scores all the time. But then again, if this doesn't bother you, then I think it's fine. And also, like, I didn't think this would bother me when I first got it. I thought this was a very cool, innovative piece of technology, which it is in a lot of ways, but I think it could have some improvements that could be made on it to make it a bit less anxiety inducing for the people who wear it. Because I've turned into like a total health nut with this thing, and I've never been that really before. Overall take, would I buy an OURA ring again? Probably not. But then again, I was so jazzed to have initially bought it. So my thing is, like, I don't really know a better alternative for having something to track my steps. Like, I don't want to have to wear a pedometer all day. I also don't really want to have to go back to wearing an Apple Watch all day because I just hate having things strapped to me. So, like, this is the best alternative, I would think, to having a step tracker. Unless there's, like, a different ring that only tracks your steps. And I think that would be such a cool business model for OURA ring if they would sell a ring only for step tracking that was significantly cheaper. Yeah, that's what I would say. And know that whatever health tracker device you get to set your own terms with it. You don't have to use it how it was intended to be used. And that's what this OURA ring taught me, is that you ultimately are in charge of whatever technology you have. You get to use it however you want. Like, sure, this comes with all these cool features and things, but do I have to use them if they are, like, a detriment to me? No. I could use it to just track my steps and joyfully live my life from there. And that just goes to show that humans ultimately, I think maybe more could show that they are in charge of the technology that they're using, not the other way around. And there are so many different ways that could be implemented and interpreted. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. It helps my channel. And you can subscribe if you like Seattle walking, gardening, and hobby content. All right, thanks everyone.